What's up? Good. Good evening and welcome. Welcome to my live stream. Tonight is Fight CPS and Stop Taking Our Children. We're very fortunate to have a guest tonight. Her name is Anna Smith, and she'll be talking about herself shortly. But she's set up to be a guest here. And I'm glad you all found my live stream. It's on Facebook. I have two live streams, one in the morning, one in the evening. Tonight, it's Fight CPS. I'm your host, Bob Pace. And it's on every night of the week. Yes, at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Then my daytime shows Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. And then on the weekends, it's 8 a.m. So today is Friday, the 1st of August. So tomorrow will be 8 a.m. Those are all Pacific Standard Times on the West Coast. My show is broadcast live and 3 blocks from the ocean to help you with your case. You are all fighting CPS, the Child Protection, every county. And it was started in 1962 by an actor that required social services to protect her children from neglect and abuse. Now, as I said, CPS, I'm a loving husband and father. I've helped raise 6 children. I have 42 years of marriage experience, years of life skill experiences. So I have a lot to offer and a lot to help you. But I think before we get started now, we need to, I'll be putting banners up now who've been waiting very patiently. So I'm going to add Anna. And hello there, Anna. How are you? I hear you yet. Is your mic on? I see your lips moving.
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
There we go. So yeah. I accidentally muted the microphone on accident. I'm sorry.
It's all right. Well, Anna, what part of the world are you from?
I'm originally from Lake County, Florida, specifically Clermont, Florida, which is right next to Orlando, Florida.
Okay.
Central Florida. Okay. But I currently live now in Lynchburg, Virginia, which is Central Virginia, about 2 hours from south of Richmond, southwest of Richmond, about 4 hours away from DC.
Okay. And where did your involvement with CPS start?
It was, I actually aged out of the system. I went in at age 12 in 1993. My story is just a tad different than other former foster care kids. I'm a former Florida foster care child that aged out of the system. Basically how it started was I was an only child living with a single mother. My mother is a narcissist. And we had an argument, and I did not know at the time I was being abused or even what the word abused was. You know, it's just how I was treated and how it was. But I was kind of, being an only child, I was well behaved, yes. For the general part, I was a good child, but yeah, I had my bratty ways too. So we had an argument one day, and I'm like, I want a mom and a dad. You know, I want to see what it's like to have a mom and dad. I want a brother or a sister. I wanted that white picket American fence life, you know? And I was like, then I told her, I said, I want to go into foster care. And she goes, oh, no, you don't. You know, she says, I know you're going to go in, you're going to hate it and want to come out, and you're not going to be able to come out. And then, you know, if at all ever come home. And she was right. She was right. But however, that was that. And then a few days later that week, I come home from a regular sunny Florida day, came home from school. I throw my backpack down, getting ready to watch Power Rangers and eat a snack. And I see this big black trash bag, as most of us foster kids know, sitting in the kitchen, filled with God knows what. And my mom's on the phone. She's like, shh, you know. So she gets off the phone and she tells me, she's like, you know, go find just a few items that you want to take with you that you think, you know, that will mean something to you or whatever, and get your backpack, your school backpack. I was like, why? She's like, well, we're getting ready to go. I said, go where? She says, in the 90s, before it was Home Rehabilitative Services, which us foster kids nicknamed DCF. So I was like, HRS. I was like, why? She's like, well, you wanted to go in the foster care system, right? And I'm like, I didn't really mean it, you know, like, what? And I'm confused. So how my story is just a tad different from other foster kids is I wasn't removed. I was abandoned. My mom blamed me, my foster care. You were such a brat. You forced me to put you in the system and stuff like that. And so I blamed myself my entire life. And then just recently here a few years ago, that wasn't my fault. I was just a kid. How was I supposed to know? Yeah, maybe I was a brat. We had an argument. I maybe said the wrong thing, but either way, like the thing is do I want to stay at home with a narcissistic, abusive mother or go into a system away from my family, which that was the last time I was ever in the care custody of my family. And now they're all dead, so, or do I go into a system that's very abusive, which I did endure. Every kind of abuse you can think of, I endured and witnessed on other foster children as well. So, which is the lesser of two evils, right? I honestly would have picked staying home with my real family because that really hurt me. And now that they're all dead, it hurts me even more, hurts me even more. So we go to the HRS building, and by now they're closed. It's after school. She was on the phone. We drove to Tavares, Florida. We were living in Clermont, Florida. We go to Tavares, Florida. We go to the building. They're closed. And my mom and the caseworker's like, do not go out those doors. They're locked because you won't be able to get back in. And at this point in the lobby, okay, there was no cell phones or iPads I could get on. I had ADHD. I had no papers or pens or nothing to draw or write with. I had nothing to do. Absolutely nothing. There was one water fountain in the lobby, no bathrooms. There was two locked doors. There was a locked door over here and a locked door over there. And they went through the locked door over there. The caseworker and my mother went down the hallway to where the office was of the caseworker to do all the paperwork, which took almost 4 hours to do. So I'm sitting in this barren lobby with nothing to do, and I had to go to the bathroom eventually. And I'm like banging on the door. Nobody could hear me. And so by the time they come out, I'm just like practically dead. And I'm like, oh my God, like really. So the caseworker, they take some pictures with my mom, and the caseworker's like, these are going to be the last pictures you take with your mom so you can go to your new family. And I'm like, new family? Like, what are you talking about? I'm like clueless and I'm scared. And I'm like, what's going on? And so, if you were to see those pictures, I'm not smiling very much because I have a look of pure confusion on my face. You could tell. And then we go to my first foster home. So my main long-term foster home, we'll call them Mr. and Mrs. L. It took me 2 other foster homes to get to them. So the first foster home I went to, we'll call her Mrs. P. And the caseworker drops me off. And she drops me off in my black bag or whatever. And at first, we have a meeting, me, the CPS worker and caseworker, and the removal worker, and then Mrs. P. And the other children meet me, and then she tells them to go in the back or whatever, and then it was just us 3. She seemed not real, soft-spoken, and she was an elderly white woman and whatever, single woman. I wanted a mom and dad, but hey, whatever. She's with the situation, what have you. But as soon as that caseworker woman, Mrs. P, the foster care woman, I'm not going to say the cuss words, but she goes, get yours and go in the back and put your away and go in the kitchen and do the God dishes. And I was like, what? I'm like in shock. I'm like, what just happened here? Like total black and white. She's nice and kind. And I'm like, what the heck just happened? And then I'm like, because see, I'm an only child. I have 13 dead brothers. Every time she had a baby that kept dying, and then I was the only one from her womb to live. So I was a miracle baby. So I was, I was spoiled. I wasn't so much of a brat. I had bratty ways, but I taught responsibilities. I wasn't taught how to do chores and dishes and how to wash my clothes. I didn't know how to do that. So I'm like, I don't know how to wash dishes. She's like, who doesn't know how to wash dishes? Go in there and do the fucking dishes. We're about to start dinner and have them done by dinner. So I'm like crying, and I go in there and I'm like, I don't know what to do. She's like, okay. So she shows me real quick what to do. And then, she's like, finish them up. Long story short, we get to dinner time. And so us foster kids are sitting around the table, and we're having mushroom soup. Well, I don't like mushroom soup because I don't like mushrooms. I don't eat mushrooms. So she goes in the back to go to the bathroom, Mrs. P, and the kids are like, don't, Yeah, I'm like, I don't like mushrooms. Is there anything else we can eat? And they're like, don't tell her that. She'll make you sit there until you eat it. She won't let you even go to bed. They were scared. Like, don't tell her that. So I was like, okay, and she comes out and I tell her anyway. I was like, Mrs. P, is there anything else I can eat? She's like, why? I was like, well, this is mushroom soup. She goes, what? Are you allergic? And I'm like, no, I just don't like them. And she's like, too bad. Eat it anyway. Sit there until you eat it. You eat it all. And she goes, you know what? Matter of fact, and she goes in the kitchen, grabs another bowl, puts another slop of mushroom soup in the bowl. Here, you eat that too. And in protest, I didn't eat it. I just sat there. I was like, all right, F you. I'm not going to eat it regardless, period. I'm not going to eat it. So bedtime came. So finally, she's like, just go to effing bed. And I was like, well, can I take a bath first? I haven't bathed all day and I changed my clothes from that day before school started from like 6 o'clock in the morning. I've been in the same clothes and everything. And she's like, no, just go to bed. I'm like, can I change my clothes and, look for some clothes? She's like, no, just go to effing bed. So finally got to the point where the first day of school, I noticed these two girls and they're the sisters of the boys with the G on it. He raped me when I was 7 years old. He was 16, the foster care system. So they had resentment towards me because it was of their brother as to why they went into the system. So, of course, they remember me, but they didn't recognize me because this was 5 years later. I'm a little grown now by this point. And I'm like, oh, no. Well, Mrs. P we'll call them A and T, two foster girls in the home that she loved so much, read my personal file. And they noticed and recognized the name on the file, that I had when I was. And so they went and told the school here at Taveri's Middle and Taveri's school. The sisters harassed me on the bus, and I thought they were going to kill me. I swear to God. So I start calling I had a new assigned caseworker. We'll call her CR. And I'm begging her. I'm like, get me out of here. Get me out of here. I was raped and the sisters are here and they're going to kill me. And then Mrs. P, she's so mean. I didn't know the word abusive. She's so mean. She beats us and she was beating us with a yardstick. Okay. Another young girl, we'll call her J, molested by her own father. And because of it, her insides were messed up. So because of that, she kept peeing the bed. So every time she peed the bed, Mrs. P would beat her with the yardstick for this. And I'm like, you got to get me out of here. So out of protest, I called CR, my caseworker, every day. I started missing the bus in the morning and in the afternoon to go home or to her home in the afternoon after school. And then I started crying all night long until the point I couldn't cry anymore. But I'd still continue the, just to be annoying and get on her nerves, just so she'd kick me out, and they'd put me in another home. So finally it worked. So I go to a temporary home. This is my second home out of my three. And I go into, we'll call them Mr. and Mrs. B. It was a black couple that were from Africa, and they were actually one of the best foster homes I've ever been in, but there was still abuse in the home. The nanny was abusing the children. And I was also raped by an older boy there and also molested by another boy that they were bunking together. They were like 16 and almost 18. So there was abuse going on there, and I was, schmexually, we'll say, assaulted in the home there as well. Which I did report to Mr. and Mrs. B as well, but that was a temporary home. So then come my permanent home, Mr. and Mrs. L, who Mr. L was actually a Pentecostal preacher or pastor at a Church of God in Chiefland, Florida. Not Chiefland, but rather Sorrento, Florida, which is still Lake County, near Mount Dora, Florida. So I started going to Mount Dora Middle School, and then Mount Dora High School, where I eventually graduated from. But I was very active in the church. I became the head youth pastor. I had a leadership role, big time leadership role at age 12. Starting at age 12, I was a VBS, Vacation Bible School teacher, Sunday school teacher, music minister, youth pastor, group community organizer. I'd help out, it's Florida. We have tornadoes, we have hurricanes, people's houses and lives just in an instant. So we'd go help clean up efforts, pray over them, help with donation efforts, food, do street ministry. Later on, when I was like 15, 16, my foster dad, he put a gun in his thing and we'd go into crack houses, trap houses, and go minister to drug lords and prostitutes and drug people there. And I even, with the youth groups, would coordinate events like Acquire the Fire, or when Disney World, they had a Night of Joy, which they would close down the park to the public at 5 p.m. and have the Christian youth groups would have the Disney park the entire night until 6 a.m. the next day. I would organize that. So I had a lot to do in the church, not getting paid for it at all, and plus going to school, and plus being a foster care child, heavy. But I did it. But I also, in that home, there was abuse too. One time, my foster dad, the pastor, he was drinking, and found out he was drinking. And while he was drinking at the time, come to find out, he schmexually molested me. I was sick that day, sick from school, and it was just me and him at home. He came into my room, he sits on the bed, and he looks at me, he goes, you're starting to get boobies. And he starts giggling, and I'm like, starting to get them. And then he takes my shirt and he lifts it up, and he's like, oh, and I tried to tell him, he denies it, and then she believes him, and then starting to get out. And because another foster care child was dealing with something similar as well. And then he also had to do laundry. I learned how to do dishes. I learned a lot of stuff within the leader. I learned responsibility. I learned a lot of stuff from these people. And there was still abuse, I still have contact with them. That I went to high school until I got kicked out through a misunderstanding. I had my first boyfriend. I was 17. I was about to turn 18. We were allowed to have a boyfriend at 16, but I wasn't interested until I was almost 18. I found this boy at the beach. He manipulated me, and I came home late one night, and my foster father was furious. The very next day, black bag, back to HRS, dropped me off, abandoned me at HRS. I was still underage. But I was in senior in high school. So I ended up in my high school librarians. It was Mount Dora High School in Mount Dora, Florida. My high school librarians, Miss J, we'll call her, home. Mr. and Mrs. J, home. And then the day, November 21st of 2000, I turned 18 and aged out of the system. They literally kicked me out the day I turned 18. So happy birthday, Anna, right? So I luckily had a car that I bought with my first job. At this point, I was working 3 jobs and continuing to go to high school while I'm homeless, living in my car. So after my third shift job, I would drive to the high school senior parking lot, and whatever sleep I could get, I would sleep in my car. And eventually the vice principal, will call her Mr. H, and then Mrs. V is the principal, found out about my situation. I had to get special permission through the Lake County School Board to sleep on the school property, but they approved it because of my situation, because I wanted to continue high school and graduate, But they became my alarm clocks and woke me up, the assistant principal and principal, every day at this point. So I ended up graduating, not with the best grades, but with average grades. For what it was pretty decent grades. I could have failed, and I had teachers telling me I was actually going to fail. They're like, there's no way you're going to pass, with the situation you're in. But I did it. I graduated high school while working those 3 jobs, and that was that. And then after that, I got pregnant with my first daughter, and actually I'm a birth mother who placed for adoption as well. I'm many things. I wear many hats. but in general, that's pretty much the story. But yeah, there was a lot of injustice, a lot of abuse. And I'm telling you, like, there might be abuse in the home biologically, which some kids in a biological home, it's just so bad that they just absolutely need to be removed, period. And not every foster home in the world is abusive, okay? Like Mr. and Mrs. B, the black couple, the people-colored black couple from Africa that I had, they were good people. They just had a very bad abusive nanny, but there was still abuse going on in the home. So even though they were good people, they still had abusive nannies. So, not every home is abusive, not every foster parent is abusive, but a majority are. And I say a high bit, I would say easily 98%.
All right. So, I want to go over a lot of questions I have, and I think the audience has some questions in my chat. And first of all, I want to thank you very much for you opening up. Is there an echo with me right now on you?
No.
Okay, I hear an echo, that's all. I want to thank you very much. This is different than I've ever heard. Now, I've talked to over 2,500 people from 23 countries, including every state in the U.S. Now, this was happening to you in Florida, right? Where it started?
Correct, in Lake County, Florida.
Right. So you're in Florida. Did you have a biological father?
I did not know my father in 2005 on my birthday, November 21st, 2015. Actually, I'm DNA ancestry test in hopes to find my father. And I did. I found my father exactly 2 years to the day on my birthday. Happy birthday to me. Best birthday ever, right?
Right.
2017. And we have the same birthday. So crazy, right? But I found my dad, but he had passed away already the year I graduated high school on Christmas Day at that. But I have a sister. We'll call her T, and I love you, Sissy, if you see this.
Yeah. Well, your case is very unusual, only because it seems like your mother, who had 13 pregnancies that didn't, the children were born dead, I would think that she'd want to hang on to you and love you as a mother-daughter would. And here she is. She says she wants to ship you off. Now, you said you wanted to go to foster care. Where did your mother want to ship you off to?
Well, it was to foster. I mean, to foster. Like at first, she's like, you don't want to go in foster care. But then I guess because she was a single mom, it was just hard on her. Her mental illness and mentality just severely disintegrated over the years. She used to not be like that. She used to be a great mother, at one point. She even was a foster mother at one point, tried to adopt, but it didn't go through.
Well, were all these 13 babies by the same man, or did she have 13 relationships?
Yes. Yeah, it was the same man, and that she was married to since as soon as she turned 18. My grandmother and grandfather unfortunately pushed her off into a marriage instead of college or anywhere else. Pushed her into this marriage, the man would not let her work. He made her a stay-at-home wife. She did not drive. She did not work. She was a homemaker, and she wanted nothing more than to be a mother. But because he was cheating on her and had STDs that he did not tell her he had, and she did not know she had at the time, it was killing the babies. So eventually, she found, yeah.
You mean
eventually she found a box of numbers, and
your father was cheating on your mother.
No. That was the man that she was married to prior to meeting my father.
I'm confused.
So
the biological
she was married. Okay, yeah, she married and she had the 13 babies. She had the 13 babies with a man, and then she divorced him. Then she met my father, and then I survived because because by then she took care of the STDs that she had, so she was healthy by that time. Her womb was healthy. So
so CPS in Florida, it would take you and put you in a foster home, right? Okay. And the first foster home didn't work out.
No, she was very abusive.
That's the shame, because a lot of foster people are like that. Now, I have a foster mom who's on the show all the time from Montana. Her name is Betty Jo, and she's a good foster mom, and she's not on right now at the moment. But for all you listeners out there, that is the trouble with foster, because a lot of the foster people are not well vetted. It's so easy, Dad, because the CPS will let a lot of things slip. If you want to adopt a child, it takes years. CPS finds it simple to have foster people that they can bring underneath the wings with very little training and pawn off the children to them. The sad part is people get money. This is $1 trillion business. And the reason why they like you in foster care, reason like that. And see, what's going to also happen, a lot of children don't know that when they become 18, they need to have their child dealings with foster care removed. Because when you start having children yourself, CPS will come after you. And that is the sad part about it. And you're remarkable that you're able to get a high school degree, maintain jobs, buy a car, and you're able to live. And this was all done in Florida.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. All right. So you said you had a boyfriend. Was the boyfriend after high school?
That was during high school, or actually, Yeah, that was during high school. That's right. Yes.
And you said that a lot of other guys, well, not a lot of guys, but you were raped several times and molested.
That's correct. The very first time I was molested was age 3. I was raped at age 7 by a 16-year-old boy.
Hold on one second.
And
I'll be right back. I have to get my charger.
okay.
Be right back.
I don't know if anybody's listening, but I guess I'll fill in until he's back. But yeah, it's true. It's a profitable business with CPS and foster care, or even quote unquote nonprofit organizations, especially when they adopt the kids out, because they make a lot of thousands and thousands of dollars off of one adoption. And the more disabled they are, the more money that the adoptive parents. It's just the foster care system is just a failure. It really is. I would probably say 99% of the time. There's probably about 1% of foster kids that actually did well in the system. And that includes children who did need to be removed out of the system. And wasn't. There's children that needed to be removed and were. There's children that did not need to be removed and were. Which were that are removed out of their homes and put into the system full removals, and that is true. And if anybody says it's not true, I guarantee you that that person that says it's not true either works for the system and is not aware, or brainwashed, or is one of the evil, lying, or foster care system. Just had this conversation the other day, and I said, I bet you work for the system. And sure enough, they comment and they say, well, I work for, I'm a caseworker for CPS. And I'm like, there you go. I told you, I knew it. I wasn't sure.
I'm just instructed by my show producer. Anytime I come away from the screen, I'm supposed to turn off my microphone. The stage, people can still hear you. So they were hearing you. And she is a Fulber, Florida foster herself. So we have someone here from Florida named Jennifer Colburn. Welcome. Then we have Erin, who I know is from Tennessee. And she says, hello, Bob. Okay. And then Jennifer Colburn says, just went through 2 cases with CPS in 2 years, and I won both. Well, that's good news to know, Jennifer Colburn. And then Jennifer Colburn says, hi, Anna. Then Erin says, I'm about 20 minutes from Bristol, Virginia. She is in Tennessee, but I guess that part of Tennessee is close to Virginia. Anyway, I want to welcome you all to this room. We have our guest here, Anna. Jennifer further says, they took me when they were taking kids who just went through Hurricane Andrew. Oh, boy. And Jennifer Colburn says, the audio is messing up. See, I hear an echo. Like, I hear my voice coming through your microphone, Anna.
To me, it sounds fine.
Okay. And I hear.
Am I echoing, or are you?
Yeah, you're echoing.
Well, as far as like the viewers go, like, do I sound like I'm echoing, or are you the one sounding like you're echoing?
No, you sound like you're echoing, and then I can hear myself talk in the background.
Oh, let me see. Is that a little bit better?
I don't hear myself, which is good. You turned it down. Good.
Okay.
And
maybe that
anyway
would work a little bit. Sorry.
Yeah, well, Jennifer Colburn, if you can tell us so you hear us better. Jennifer has a similar case to Anna, and she's from Florida too. Now, what maybe have happened to Jennifer is that because you guys at 18 don't clean up your CPS case, it carries on to your adult life. They have a database, and they'll track you down and take your child. Now, you say you just had a child, Anna.
Well, I had a child actually in 2003 that I placed for open adoption in but this was in Lynchburg, Virginia, which I'm actually on a podcast show talking about that too.
Why did you place a child for open adoption? Why do you not want to raise your child?
I did want to raise her. I was manipulated, and talked into and basically manipulated into placing for adoption. I did want to keep her. Which, if you watch Liberty Lost, which is a new podcast out on every platform, Liberty Lost, it talks about the Liberty Godparent Home out of Lynchburg, Virginia, started by Jerry Falwell, and also the Family Life Services, which is the adoption agency connected to it. And it talks all about how a lot of birth mothers have been manipulated into placing our babies for adoption that we wanted. And also, it's a very profitable industry and business as well, being a nonprofit. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with CPS. It's supposed to be,
the problem
very profitable.
Those kinds of businesses. The problem being is that to get a true child to be adopted takes years, lots of money, and a lot of vetting. People sidestep that, run fake organizations, and have all this thing about nonprofit, and all it is for money for them, fast money, but the end results are terrible for the children for the adoption. So was your adoption a closed adoption, or can you see your child later when he grows up?
It was supposed to be an open adoption. She's 22 now, but it was supposed to be open, and it was open at first, semi-open. But then, which typically happens with an open adoption, a majority of the time, the adopted parents will end up closing the adoption, which is what happened to me. I became an alienated mother, parental alienation, pretty much, in other words. And they pretty much closed the adoption. I kept getting excuses as to why I couldn't see my kid, and stuff like that. And what happens is typically it's the adoptive mother, mostly, who becomes jealous of the birth mother. And as soon as the kid starts growing up and starts asking more questions and more origin questions, where do I come from? I want to talk to my birth mom. They want, the adoptive mother is afraid that the kid is going to develop more of a bond and love and connection with the birth mother, which naturally would happen. And most of the times do, a lot of times. But yeah, my adoption was closed, and then we were reconnected when she was 15. She found me online, and then when I told her, tell your parents hi, tell them we're talking, I got blocked. Turns out it was from the adopted mother, but she lied and said it was from my daughter. My daughter gets back online and finds me again. Turns out the adopted mother, as soon as she blocks me, finding out that we're talking, ended up punishing my daughter for finding and talking to me and connecting with me. So yeah, and she was kind of being abusive to my daughter as well. And then when my daughter, before she turned 18, she was like 17. And then on up, we kind of had to sneak around because she was being tracked. They had a tracking app. So we had to sneak around to meet up with each other, to talk to each other, to see each other. And we started developing our relationship, though, regardless, under the radar, even though she was under 18. And because I see it like this, if they're going to punish my child for speaking and finding and talking to me and developing a relationship, are you kidding me? Our adoption was in vain. And the thing is I was so brainwashed into, I always said, oh, I don't regret my adoption. Oh, they're good people. They're good Christian people, blah, blah, blah. Well, instantly, as soon as I found out she was punished for all this, I instantly regretted it. I was like, then I noticed and started realizing the corruption, the jealousy, and what really happened in parental alienation and everything. So then now she's 22, and now she's not being tracked anymore. So now, we have an even closer bond and relationship. We have each other's phone numbers, and we see each other. She just on this past Mother's Day, if you go to my Facebook profile, Anna Rachel Smith, Rachel is Rachel, Anna Rachel Smith. It's a pinned post on my profile of a video of my daughter meeting her grandmother, my mother, for the first time ever.
Wow.
And then I have and then I have two smaller kids, one that's about to turn 11 and one about to turn 13. A girl, my daughter's 13, and my son is about to turn 13, and my son's about to turn 11, August 12th. And they're alienated from me and under custodial rule of another family, which my adopted daughter has not met yet, which we've been trying to have her meet. But the people, the custodians, legal guardians of my younger children are, of course, they've been keeping me from my kids. So, of course, they're keeping her from them, too, which I've been fighting in family court as well from, because I'm actually a survivor of domestic violence and a current post-separation abuse victim as well from their father. So we'll call him B. And I left him September 11th, 2014, when my son was just an infant. He was only a month old, and my daughter was 1. I was breastfeeding both, and we became homeless, went through the homelessness process. Long story short, we found permanent housing finally, and the post-separation abuse started, and it hasn't ended yet. And I had a nervous breakdown in 2017. And then a month later is when I found my father on my birthday. But I had in October 2017 a severe nervous breakdown. So I needed help with my kids. I didn't have much help. So this family was like, we'll help, and it wasn't that I just
where's the
dropped
father?
them off.
Where's the father, the biological?
He kept abandoning them. Like, it's either because he's an actual diagnosed narcissist, and he either would abandon them and take off. He just did whatever he wanted, or then he'd come back and try to be part of their life. So it was like in and out, in and out, in and out. And when he was trying to come in and coming back in and everything, kept moving out of state and stuff like that. So when he's back, it was his way or the highway. So then he tried to take the kids from me. And he told me several times, he said his motives basically are, he's like, I'm going to take the kids from you and you're never going to see them again. And then you'll be the one paying child support. That was his motives. And it pretty much now is what's happened. And see, at the time he had abandoned the kids. I had nobody to help me with the kids. So it's not that I just dropped my kids off with these people. I had really no choice, but they seemed okay enough. But truth be told, I stupidly trusted them. And then they used, the father came back, and then he went to CPS here locally in Lynchburg, Virginia. It's called DSS actually. And he made false allegations and lies. And made a false report, and then claimed parental alienation on me, saying I was alienated him from the kids, which was a total lie. It was not true. And he said I abandoned my children with these people, which was a lie. He didn't even know what was going on. He was manipulating my kids and getting only bits and pieces of the story. And of course, he's an abuser, so he made all these false reports and allegations. CPS opens up a case. And then, so these people they lied to me. They tricked me. They said, which was a good idea if it would have been true and happened. But they said, hey, give us custody temporarily, and then we'll get B off your back. We can take care of him. Me and E. We'll call them R and E. So me and E, which is his wife, can take care of B and get him off your back, and then we'll return the kids back into your custody and care. Sound good? And I was like, yeah, okay. That sounds okay. I thought they were safe enough. And so I advocated for them to get custody of the kids, because they tricked me and said that I would get custody back. And they were trying to help me get B off my back because post-separation abuse, because he kept harassing me through the court system, stalking me, 2 gun assaults. And at the same time that I had that I was healing from this nervous breakdown, trying to get my head together, and then here he comes. And so I had no choice, but they're like, we'll get him off your back. So here I go advocating for them. And CPS opens up a case, and turns out the caseworker is our custodians of my children's friend. I didn't even know that at the time until after the fact. So of course she's biased and advocates for them to have the kids. So they win. They use my mental illness against me even, and they win custody, and I start paying child support. So ever since then, they started alienating me from my children, and still to this day have. Now I'm down to supervised visitations. And then recently, our last custody hearing was in February of this year. And then just recently on June 26, 2025, my children and all 11 children out of the home, they're biological children. They have several biological children, plus my 2 children. Okay. They're not adopted, but they do, have legal guardianship, so physical and legal custody. And I have supervised visitations. But all their children and my children all were removed from CPS on June 26th of this year and put into foster care. I got the call the day before the first hearing, not the adjudicatory, but the 5-day hearing. And the meeting, the family forward project, whatever it's called, the family whatever meeting. I got a call the day before that, 2 days before the first 5-day hearing. Okay, 5 days being in foster care. And I'm like, what? I'm flipping out. I'm a former foster care child. I know what that system is about. I know it's evil and how evil it is. And I'm flipping crap, man. And I'm like, no. So I was advised by the CPS worker and my court-appointed attorney to go ahead and file, because it's a material change of circumstances, to go ahead and file and amend the custody order, which here upcoming in September, we have our first custody hearing again. So I went ahead and filed for custody and change of visitation again and everything. I'm still trying to get sole physical, and I'm put shared legal just so I don't look bad to the judge, with the father. But yeah,
Let
that's
me
where we're
catch
at
up.
now.
I have some more people that have come in. Carmisha Anderson and Kenny Anderson. I don't know if you two are related. Kenny says he is from Tennessee. Well, so is Aaron. Aaron's from Tennessee. So we have Kenny, and I don't know if Carmisha and Kenny are related there. And hello, Krula Trek. She is from California, and she has a CPS case, an eviction case. And she says, hello, Uncle Bob. And she comes in twice a day to see me, nighttime and morning. And she's been doing that for years. Then we have Tony the Tigers. Tony the Tiger is Cassandra. She has a CPS case in Ostenago, New York. And she says, I may have found a law firm that is taking my case. Best part, they don't get paid lest they win. It's not specifically family court case related, but the fact it's abuse. Well, be careful, because the people that take on cases and only say I'll get it when it wins are people that do civil lawsuits. And so you got to be careful, Cassandra, because you got to be careful of who you hire. She says, I can't wait to become a certified lawyer herself. I use my knowledge to help the children thrive, struggle to survive. She wants to be an attorney too. Then we have a new person called Courtney Sightwall, praying for the family. Well, thank you, Courtney. I have no idea where you're from. And Aaron says, hey, Kenny, I'm from Kingsport, Tennessee, Northeast Tennessee. Kenny, where are you from in Tennessee? And Carmisha Anderson, hi, I'm from Villa Point, Louisiana. So I guess Carmisha Anderson and Kenny Anderson are not related. So those are the people in the room. And we have, of course, Anna Smith that has told her heart story about everything. Now, I have some more questions for you, Anna. Okay.
Go ahead.
You were having a boyfriend. Then you started having children with that boyfriend?
Not with that boyfriend. After I got kicked out of out of foster care, and graduated high school, I then was couch surfing pretty much at this point. And I wasn't necessarily living in my car, just couch surfing, staying with friends. And then I met my adopted daughter, my oldest daughter's father. We'll call him M, at karaoke through a mutual friend. We'll call him G, who was that they were best friends. So I'm friends with G, and he's like, let's go to karaoke. My best friend's going to be there tonight, M, which is my daughter's birth father. And so we went to karaoke, and that's where I met her birth father at. And we only dated 3 months before he cheated on me with his ex, and then got her pregnant. So, my daughter has a half brother.
I can't get track of all these relationships, because you had a boyfriend, but then you said you met your father.
Yeah, then that was that. And then later on, after foster care, after high school, I was couch surfing, but I was still working. And then I met M, my oldest daughter's, the adopted one, her birth father. And then we dated for 3 months.
Wait a second. Your oldest daughter, who is the father of your oldest daughter?
The one I met at karaoke, after foster care, after high school. The boyfriend that I got kicked out of the home from and went with the librarian, that was just some guy I met at the beach and dated for like, yeah, it was just a fling. Right, correct.
Okay. Then you met this guy that you had karaoke with, and you had a child. But then he said he went back to his ex-wife and got her pregnant?
His ex-girlfriend, and then got her pregnant. And he even claimed, he's like, that's not my kid, because I can't even have children. Because apparently he had cancer as a baby and had chemo. And he said that his sperm was, not working BS, And so here we go again. He got her pregnant, and my daughter was born February of 2003, and then his other son, his ex's son that he cheated on me with, was born Christmas Day of 2003. So they're close in age. They were born the same year.
Now you say,
and then he had 3 other kids after that.
You have 3 other children, right?
Right. So later on in life, way later.
Is this with another man?
Another man. This was years and years later after the adoption happened, and my oldest daughter was adopted out.
Well, why did you let your oldest daughter be adopted?
Because I was manipulated by the home, by the workers. I wanted to keep her. Like it took me.
Why would someone tell you you need to have your daughter adopted?
Listen, this is on any podcast platform right now. It just came out. It's called Liberty Lost. That will explain everything. It's made by Wondery and Audible, and it was made by TJ Raphael. She's an investigative reporter that investigated the Liberty Godparent Home and Family Life Services, an adoption agency attached to it, started by Jerry Falwell, the evangelist. He started the Moral Majority, but that explains everything, and it has other birth moms' stories as well as to how we were manipulated into placing our babies that we did not want to place.
Are you talking about Jerry Falwell's university, Liberty University?
Liberty University, correct. He started Liberty University as well.
Right. Now, you're saying that he is instrumented in getting your child adopted?
Well, he started the ministry, the Liberty Godparent Home, and then the adoption agency attached to it, Family Life Services, back in 1982, I believe it was.
I never heard that Jerry Falwell was like that. I had no idea.
Well, the thing is you either loved him or you hated him. And his initial focus was to start this ministry to help girls and to help curb from abortion. He was pro-life and to help curb from abortion, from Roe versus Wade and all that stuff.
Yeah, but you were the mother who wanted your child. You didn't want to have her adopted.
Well, it turned into a manipulation operation, which a lot of organizations do, and they are very profitable at that too. Which I said, Liberty Lost, it explains everything. And I'm in episode 7, by the way, of the podcast, explaining my story and stuff. But yeah, it wasn't always like that. It wasn't meant to be profitable. It just turned into that. And then, and it's still being investigated now by TJ Raphael. Like, we're actually, since the podcast has come out, it's been such a huge hit that Hulu and Netflix are in talks of doing a documentary that they want me on as well to share my story, that I'm in the podcast. Like I said, I'm in episode 7 with. So
be careful, they're not using you. Got to be careful they're not using you for
no, they're not. TJ is a legitimate, she's a good investigative reporter. Like, she means well. Like, she's not an exploiter, you know what I mean? Like,
well, I don't want you to be
really
used and exploited, because it seems like all your life you were exploited. Your mother exploited you to have you adopted out. Her mother didn't want to, pay for the expenses of raising you as a child so that you would have a comfortable lifestyle with your own home, your own bedroom. You go to high school like normal kids do. And it hurts me that you've been exploited all this time. You may not know it, but you've been exploited. And
I'm going to think on that because there's still things that's coming to light that I haven't realized my entire life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just a few years ago, I realized my mother's a narcissist, and I just realized that she was my sole abuser, as going into foster care. And there's a lot of things I realized that I actually obtained my foster care reports and file from Tallahassee a few years ago. To which I like, there was things in there that I could not even remember. I'm like, I don't even remember this, and things that were suppressed that I'm like, oh yeah. And then there's things that I'm like, oh, I remember that, but there's a lot of stuff that I'm still learning to this day, honestly. I've been on a healing journey. I'm still on a healing journey, and probably will be for the rest of my life. But I've come a long way. I have, but I'm still traumatized. I'm not going to lie. I'm still healing. There's a lot of work.
Oh boy, I just see that one of our cohorts in the room is enrolled in Liberty University, and She's studying the law. She wants to get her law in dependency law, family law, and juvenile law. And she's enrolled at Liberty University. I did not know that, Cassandra. Cassandra is Tony the Tiger.
Okay. Cassandra, do you live in Lynchburg, Virginia as well? That's where I live right now.
She's up in Ostenago, New York. She may be doing an online kind of school.
Oh, I see. I wonder, Cassandra, have you ever heard of the Liberty Godparent Home or Family Life Services?
Say that slow again.
I was wondering, Cassandra, ever, attending Liberty, whether online or in person, if she ever heard of the Liberty Godparent Home or the adoption agency attached to it called Family Life Services.
Tony the Tiger, Cassandra, have you ever heard the Family Adoption Services?
Family Life Services.
The Family Life Services.
Or the Liberty Godparent Home.
Or the Liberty Godfair Home? She says she hasn't heard of it.
There's some students that haven't. And that's part of why this podcast, Liberty Lost, is out too, because there's a lot of students that don't even know that it exists. And come to find out through TJ's investigative reporting that any Liberty female who gets pregnant on campus, okay, if you attend Liberty University and you're living on campus, okay, you're forced to go to the Liberty Godparent Home, and then it's up to you to parent or place whatever, but usually they place because they manipulated you into it. But to keep your scholarship, you have to place. You have to go through the home. You have to place for adoption, or else you lose your scholarship.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, on that note, I don't want to end it, but Anna, my time is up.
I can always come back.
It's after 8 o'clock, but I do want to have you back again. I want you to know you're always welcome here. I'm on twice a day and 7 days a week. That's 14 live streams. And I've been doing this now for 22 months now. 22 months. So that's a long time. I started in October of 2023 and doing 2 shows a day, 7 days a week, 14 shows, 14 hours a week. I do this. It's amazing. I'm able to learn new things and tell new things. I mean, every show is different. There's no way that I try to make the same show because it's a challenge. I start off differently. I rearrange things. I try to cover everything. But it's been a really pleasure talking to you because through all this, you're a very intelligent woman, a very smart woman, and looks like you're very kind and caring. And that is remarkable because you've been through a lot of anger, frustration, rape, and disappointments in people that a lot of people would have given up a long time ago. So whatever
I've tried to give up, but I still kept going.
I'm glad you haven't given up because you've helped a lot of my listeners in this room. So,
well, thank you for what you do as well.
Yeah, the echo. Thank you. The echo's on Anna's side, not my room, but it's okay, Tony. We're going to sign off, Tony, but thank you very much, Tony, for giving me the update. Tony the Tiger is from Ostenago County, New York. Then we have Kamisha Anderson from Louisiana. Never really got to hear about your case. We have Aaron, who was asking Kenny, who's also from Tennessee, both of them from Tennessee. And then there's Courtney Sightwall, who I have no idea where she's from. Corella is from Oxnard, California. Thank you for calling in there. Kenny Anderson, we've already talked about. Kamisha Anderson, we've already talked about. And then we have Jennifer Colburn from Florida. That is similar to Anna. They had a similar case too. So I want to thank you all for being a part of my room. Now, keep in mind, I don't want you ever to give up. Never give up. Come to my show. I'll help you. If I have to, I'll do the whole show and help you by looking up things, setting you in the right direction. I had Carrie Sampson this morning from Georgia, Burke County, and we worked with her case for about 50 minutes. So this show is here to help you. and I do care about you. I really, really do. So don't forget, they keep fighting for your children. There will be a brief message when I sign up about my attorney, Vincent Davis. It's a cute little video. You'll like it. All right. So till we meet again, Anna, thank you very much, and God bless you. This is Bob and Anna signing.
A vivid picture is encrypted in your mind as the critics get in line like they're witnessing a crime. But then you notice there's a shiver in your spine from the feelings of discontentment and bitterness combined. Heartbroken when you listen to the judges, another kid's innocence corrupted. And if you go against it, it's destructive. Consider this predicament the toughest, but we believe in a system fit for justice. Child Protective Services only pretends to save it. The one solution for this is worthy of instant praises. 30 years of experience with relentless cases. Allow me to introduce them. This is Vincent Davis, defending you when they don't think a mother fits the role. Is it juvenile dependency or government control? Observe the pain in their eyes. It's time for us to realize we are the last ones left. Put your faith